trying to love everyone around you while holding on to judgment and negativity regarding yourself isn't loving, it's not honest, and it's not in alignment with God. Heart-centered self-love isn't selfish. It's the most selfless act of courage you can ever engage in. Self-love allows you to fill from within, to fill from your divine partnership as you fill to overflowing, and then from your overflow, give to everyone you encounter. You move from being a well in danger of running dry, which is your human self, to a bubbling spring that's connected to Source. Welcome, everyone. This is Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, and today we're going to be talking about why loving yourself just isn't enough. We have a caller that we're going to talk to when we come back, and I want to say a huge thank you to all of the people that have responded to this, but we need to always, always, always look deeper. So when we come back, we're going into the heart, and we are going to connect with deep self-love.
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your medical, healthcare, or legal advice. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio, where we celebrate you. We celebrate your divine connection. We celebrate your magnificence. We celebrate you as a beautiful being here on planet Earth, sharing your love and your light. We are so blessed to have amazing hosts here on Angel Heart Radio. We fan your seeds of hope and we help you to plant more. AngelHeartRadio.com is our station, and AngelLight777.com is our big sister. All the links, the series, host information, how to visit us, and really how to receive the best from Angel Heart Radio, and a whole lot more besides. Thank you for choosing to be with us on Angel Heart Radio. We're so grateful to share with you. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is brought to you by AngelLight777.com.
We're back, and as I've mentioned earlier, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who took the time to write a comment about the article. These shows are based off the blog that I write, that I channel from my guides. But everyone had the same theme, and it is so common because all of you are incredible healers. You have these big, beautiful hearts. But that doesn't mean that you can go around bashing or criticizing yourself as though you are not as worthy as everyone else here on the planet with you. Yes, you're a phenomenal healer. Yes, it feels good, wonderful, loving, fabulous. You can't stop giving. That's your purpose. I understand. But if you're anything like I used to be, you were all out. Everything was going out. But when it came to you and how you felt about yourself, there was a lot of criticism, extreme negativity, and just judgment upon judgment. So what was really happening is I was functioning at the low end of the vibrational scale. I thought I was this incredibly, wonderfully giving person, which I was to some degree. But when it came to looking at who I was, the only thing that I could offer myself was criticism and condemnation. And that kept me in the dark, on the low end of the vibrational scale. That wasn't loving me. That was trying to love others to make up for the fact I didn't love me. Now I love myself, and I'm coming to you from a place of joy. I want to share my joy with you. However, because I love me, I do expect to receive something in return. When I give love to others, I expect love to find me in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't necessarily have to come back from the same person, but I now believe I deserve to receive the incredible blessing that I am willing to share with others. So my heart is open. I'm in a high place of joy, and that's where I want you to be as well. So let's hear from our caller in 731 to find out how we can bring them to that high place of joy. This is a really confusing subject if you allow it to be. But when you really love you, you cannot imagine that you can do good in the world and not receive good in return, because you are open, loving. You've looked at the dark parts and said, okay, you know what? They're there. I'll keep doing the work to heal them and to move and to transform them. But I'm not going to dislike or judge or condemn or hate myself because they are part of me. I'm just going to glow even brighter. So 731, how can we help you?
Yes, Marcia.
Hi, my love.
You are amazing. Do you mind if I call you my true spiritual director?
Oh, I love it.
I
Let's
want
look.
you to be my true spiritual director.
I accept. I'm so excited. Now, let's look at that, because this is for all of you who were not here with us last week. Jeff was in a real predicament with people who have been loving and kind to him over a long period of time. And Jeff has stepped beyond their sort of limited view, and now they are not responding with much love or kindness. And Jeff said last week, well, they're letting me participate at arm's length. So, Jeff, you were really the inspiration for why I wanted to talk about how important it is that we love ourselves, because I thought about that all week. Wow. Here's Jeff, this incredible light of love who shares love throughout the day, and on his weekends and nights goes out and performs music for those who are suffering or just uncomfortable in any way, shares more love. And then he goes to the place that should be the most loving, and they're very judgmental. And Jeff's conundrum was, well, I don't want to quit or abandon them. And that brought me to say, okay, wait, that's really not self-loving. It sounds courageous. It sounds like you are the hero in the story. But if you can't feel good about you, and they are not supporting you and feeling good about you, then you're not loving you. And gosh, I spent so many years in that dark closet. I was out there everywhere, just trying to make myself feel better about me by loving other people. But until I learned that I was valuable, even with my little dark parts, my confusion and the things that I even still get wrong today, until I could get there, no one could really give me anything in return. I thought I was doing the right thing, giving. And I was exhausted and unhappy and unfulfilled. But when I learned to also receive, to get into the heart, to go to the place where I was hurting and to offer myself love and healing, and to allow myself to realize that I was worthy, then I truly could become the healer that I had always wanted to be. And let me tell you, every single person who wrote in is a magnificent healer. There are more healers in the world today than at any other time in the world, because there are so many empaths. There are so many of you light workers who said, yes, let me go in while it's dark and I'll share from my heart center. But if you're not remembering that you are the most important person in your life, that you need to be loved first, then you are not really being the full wattage lamp that you could be. When you love yourself and you allow yourself to connect fully with God, to get in perfect alignment, so much more unconditional love is capable of flowing through you that you become a floodlight where before you could only be a candle. So you're never denying anyone, including yourself, when you say yes to what you need and yes to your own alignment and to your own good. You're just upping the wattage that is going to be able to shine forth from you, and that means you can be even more powerful to the people around you that you are wanting to influence in a good way. So please, love yourself. Get into the heart. Dive in and lift up the lid. What's going on in there? Why don't I like this part of me? What happened that let me think that I wasn't worthy? Don't be scared. The heart is a safe place. Jesus will meet you there. That is the unconditional love. The Christ light is the unconditional loving energy. And when you approach with this love, you can look at the ways that you have been hurting yourself or allowing yourself to stay small and see it for the truth that it is. See that it is not fulfilling your greater purpose. It is not helping you to reach the amount of people that you would like to reach with this message of love, joy, and peace. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It is absolutely mandatory if you are going to be successful on your healing journey. We must always put the self first. Get yourself lined up with your highest good, and then shine so brightly that people all around the world will be able to see you. They will want to imitate you because you're in such a place of joy. But I have to share with you that when I was doing good works because I thought I had to make up for not being the greatest person that I could be, I wasn't shining very brightly. I was trying really hard, but I was just me. I was my human self only. Once I understood that I needed to connect so that I could shine brightly, and I needed to fill myself and heal myself first, nothing could stop me. And now many, many people around the world have experienced what it's like to have their life transformed by this healing power of unconditional love. If I had never done the work on myself, if I had just kept telling myself, do more good in the world and expect nothing because you're worthless, I would have stayed small, tiny, and insignificant. I wouldn't have helped anyone. So please, take this as an invitation, an opportunity, not to be selfish, but to be truly selfless. Because when you connect with God, You are that overflowing well that cannot run dry in a million years. As long as you stay in alignment, you have the never-ending, unchanging presence of God flowing through you, but as you, because you have brought something incredibly special to share that only you can share. So your specialness gets added to this incredible unconditional love. And suddenly, you're irreplaceable. And you become the beacon of hope and light for others who are still lost in the darkness. So please understand, when I am talking about self-love, I am never asking you to stop doing good in the world. I'm asking you to do good for yourself first so you can do even more good in the world. So, Jeff, got on my soapbox there. Tell us.
I have discovered a wonderful new tool.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And I'm sure you know about this. And it'll help us empaths to stay on the path.
Oh, fabulous.
Are you familiar with the labyrinth?
No.
The labyrinth, yes, ancient labyrinth. I can't be. No, I thought you would know about the labyrinth. This is the path. I don't know exactly how to explain it to my teacher. You're asking me to explain it to my teacher. So the labyrinth is a tool. It's an ancient tool, 4,500 years, old as far as they know. I would say they used it in the church, early church, Christianity. It's been developed there, but it's broader than just Christianity. There are special ones, and the one that we have at the hospital that I've discovered is the one with the rose petals in the center of it, which is the feminine wisdom, and that's what our world, I'm thinking, is trending toward, or the Holy Spirit, you might say, and the fire that's happening across the globe right now. And so I just want to offer the labyrinth. It's a beautiful tool to keep your self-love, if that's what you bring. It's the heart of God. You take a path, and there's never any way to get lost in the labyrinth. You just follow the path, and you just keep following it until you get to the center, and that's where the heart of God is. And the one that I'm using is the feminine one, or the rose petal, or Mary. Christian.
Beautiful.
Yes, mother.
Now, I am familiar. Actually, there is a Unity Church, I'm going to say it's in Orange County, that has, I didn't even put those two together. Yes, they have a path like that where and it's just outlined, this particular one is outlined by pebbles and kept up by all of the people that go to that church. And I was invited there one Sunday by a lovely gentleman, and we walked that path together, and he explained that he was one of the people that had originally created it. And it is a wonderful practice because, as Jeff said, you just wander along the path, but it guides your steps. It's not a maze so that you can't get lost. There are no places, no dead ends that, now I have to turn and retrace my steps. The one that I went on was circular, and we just kept walking in a circle that got smaller and smaller. Again, the path was delineated by stones, and the circle just got smaller and smaller until we arrived at the center, where it was just, you could feel the energy of gratitude and love from all of the people that had walked that labyrinth prior to us and had then offered a prayer of thanksgiving from its center. So here's some beautiful symbology. When we work in the heart, and it is the same as walking the labyrinth. We always begin from the surface. We have to address the fact that, I'm feeling a certain way, or I'm seeing things that distress me, or I'm hearing things that are unnerving me. Those are your cues that you need to start walking the labyrinth. You can walk it in your mind. You can walk it physically. I would definitely recommend that you either create one, easy to build. It's just the one that I participated in was just a path of stones. But the ability to be on a path which you could not get lost on, you couldn't fall off, you couldn't take a misstep, and when you got to the center, there was a place of joyous love and a place where you met your heart.
Be still and know that I'm God there.
Yes, you meet your heart. So there's something really healing.
And the beautiful thing with this one at the hospital, it's a gorgeous one. It has the 5 rose petals, and they each represent elements of earth and that sort of thing. And I gravitated to the angelical one.
Of course you would.
And so I just landed right on the angelical one of the rose petal. And then, of course, once you stay there and you take in all the vibrations or all the light or all the love you're receiving from God. Yes, you receive from God there. And then the other one is you start taking the path back out of the labyrinth, and you just follow it, and you return to the world to share what you have received.
Jeff, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful and such a perfect example of what we're talking to today. So let's say that you're out in the world and you're giving and you're giving and you're giving, and you find that you've depleted yourself because sometimes we forget to connect. That's okay. Don't go to the place of criticism. Instead, go to the beginning of the labyrinth and begin walking. And as you begin following the path that is just leading you deeper and deeper to the heart of God, to your own heart center, allow all of those worries, cares, fears, and frustration
release. That's it. Release.
Yes, to drop away.
On the path to the heart. Yes.
Yes.
The
with
4
every step closer that you get. And here, let's make it even more dynamic. So let's say you create your own labyrinth in your own backyard, and I hope everyone has a backyard that's large enough to do this. I would suggest that you put signposts up along the way that remind you it's safe for me to let go of limiting beliefs. I am loved and accepted by God. I am honored by all of heaven. Reminders as you go along the path that get to specific things that you may have dealt with in the world that you know that you need to release. So in the beginning, when you're just stepping away from the world into the labyrinth, you may say, I now give myself to release the physical tension in my body. And perhaps it takes a whole circle before you're able to release that because you were wound pretty tight. When you get to the next layer of circle, then I am so proud of myself. I congratulate myself for taking this incredibly self-loving action of releasing tension. And I've now made space so that I'm able to receive a little more of God. And as you keep working your way into the circle, those little signposts can remind you, oh, I need to release all thoughts of limitation. I need to release any frustration I'm feeling about my life. And with each little drop that you release,
through the years, they have called this the womb.
Wow.
It's the womb. The labyrinth has been considered the womb, so it's a place of safety.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. This is so brilliant.
I know.
So, yes.
It's so great. Unfortunately, today, the womb isn't quite so safe sometimes, but it's supposed to be a safe place.
It is, yes. Now,
yes.
Let's look at that. So, as you're walking the labyrinth, remember that the closer you are getting to the heart of God, the heart of your labyrinth, the more of the physical world you have allowed to drop away. So allow yourself to expand and receive more of the Holy Spirit, the outpouring of God's love into your heart center. Yes, you may enter feeling really constricted, but make a conscious effort to drop the layers as you walk the circle, and and the circle's getting smaller and smaller and closer to the heart of the labyrinth. Make a physical, conscious decision to allow the cares, the worries, and the fears that you may have carried in with you to drop away, and then make an additional conscious decision to open yourself. So really lift up. Make sure that you're standing tall, that your shoulders are back, that your heart space is wide open so that you are in that receiving space. And when you get to the heart center, give thanks for bringing you to this place of safety, of comfort, of joy, of peace.
Yes.
And stay there in silent meditation with your heart fully open and allow yourself to receive, knowing that you are worthy. Receive.
And the beautiful thing is they have the finger labyrinth. And it's where you take your non-dominant hand, finger, and you simply do it with your finger and take the and walk the labyrinth with your finger in a smaller scale. Pardon me. And do the same thing. Say if you don't have a full size scale labyrinth, if you're not blessed with someone, you can have a finger labyrinth. And they recommend doing it with the non-dominant hand, your finger. I don't know exactly. You will know more probably, Marcia.
This is just brilliance upon brilliance. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing this. Finish, and I will explain why you would do the non-dominant hand. And that is, I'm so glad you said that. Go ahead, Jeff. I want you to finish, and then I'll explain about the non-dominant hand. But we want to know everything you know about the labyrinth, because this is just fabulous.
And it's you can bring anything you need. You need to remember when you get there. There's 4 R's. You need to remember when you get there, and then release along the way. And then receive when you get to the center. And this is just, you don't have to do it this way. This is just one way that they have used this. And then once you receive from God, you return, of course, back to the world. But you don't really have to do that. You can even go with other people and share the path, and enjoy all the way. You can dance. You can sit and weep and cry. You can use it any way you wish, and that's what's beautiful about it.
I love this. Now, a couple of things have flown in thanks to my guides. So he did not call it a labyrinth. The gentleman this young man that showed me this, I forget the name that he called it, but it's exactly the same thing. But here are a couple of suggestions that my guides are giving me. So if you do have the space in your yard, they are suggesting that you make the pathway quite wide so that if you are to walk with someone else, you can walk side by side and share the journey, because a journey shared is just so much more fun, less burdensome, and just so much more filled with love. So make your path wide enough for at least 2 people to be on it. In addition, they are suggesting, yes, signposts, but make them interchangeable. So perhaps because this is going to be out in the weather, you create a plastic cover that can go over a card that you can change them out. So let's just give an example, because it's difficult when I'm not using an example. So let's say I have a job as a computer scientist, and my job is that I have to create a new algorithm or something, and it's not working. And I decide that I'm going to go out and walk the labyrinth. So
yes.
If yesterday I walked my labyrinth and I was wrestling with a relationship problem with my spouse, the cards that I would have put, the reminder cards that I would have put in the posts along the way would have been more focused on perhaps being a better listener, or spending more time with my spouse, or really acknowledging my spouse's feelings. That's not really going to be helpful to me if I need to work out a complicated mathematical problem in the labyrinth this day. So if I had a complex math problem, my labyrinth cards should be more geared to clearing my mind, finding logical sequences, letting go of frustration, things that will more likely lead me to the solution that I know is there that I just can't grab because I've allowed frustration to get between me and the answer. So they're suggesting the path be wide enough for two. They're also suggesting that if you create signposts that hold cards to remind you along the way, that you make them both interchangeable and waterproof. And they are also suggesting that you allow the center to be large enough for a chair or a bench or something that you can sit down on that's comfortable and enjoy meditative time, so that you just don't run into the labyrinth and say, okay, I'm great, I've got to the center, I'm done, thank you, God. They want us to spend time in the heart center. And the symbology of the labyrinth will remind you that this is the way your meditative practice is supposed to be. It is supposed to be a journey to the heart. And then when you get to the heart, you stay there. You take the time that you need to fully connect and to recharge before you get up and begin the journey outward back into the world. Because you can't fully bring your light into the world if you're in a state of confusion or frustration. So, now,
early Christians from Europe would use this labyrinth to take a trip to Jerusalem or to the Promised Land.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yes.
And let's
never
remember
have to leave their country. Yes,
because let's remember, no planes, no trains, no cars, sometimes not even an animal they could ride on in order to make a journey. So, was it realistic to think that every Christian could make a trip to Jerusalem? No. Now, it is also not realistic to believe that everyone has a backyard that's large enough for a labyrinth. So, let's look at alternatives. Jeff brought up the idea of a finger labyrinth, one that is small enough that you can take this journey with your finger. Now, I'm assuming that that is some sort of physical structure so that the finger really experiences what it's like to go on the journey and you get a chance to just sort of unwind. But let's say that you don't have the capability for whatever reason to acquire a finger labyrinth. Get out a piece of paper, and it can be as large or as little as you need it to be, and draw a spiral. And then allow yourself to trace the maze on your paper. If you can get a large piece of poster board, you can create little Post-it note stops along the way, and you can change out your Post-it notes every day.
Remember, it's not a maze; it's a path.
Yes, don't put stops and starts in there. No false.
That's right.
No false journey. This is a journey to the heart. This only has one place. The only place that you can go is to the heart.
Yes.
And when you reverse your direction, the only place that you can go is back to your starting place. This is not Uh-oh, I hope I remember the way to do it. It is the perfect spiritual tool because whenever I share anything with you, I always tell you, anything I teach you, it's not possible for you to get it wrong. I ask that you do it as I do it the first couple of times so that you're not wondering, what do I do next? You're just following along. But once you have the formula, for lack of a better word, or you understand the process, then I want you to add in as much of you as you need in order to get a full feeling of that experience. So, if you need to put it on like I live in Los Angeles, we don't have a lot of backyards, so it's going to be, but we have lots and lots and lots of parks. So I can create a labyrinth that wouldn't be permanent, but I can just go and walk and do the symbology of doing the journey to the heart anytime that I want to. Or I can put it on a piece of poster board and allow my non-dominant hand to go on that journey, to stop at each of the Post-it notes and remind myself, breathe deeply and completely. Let go of the tension that you're feeling anywhere in your body.
And the post might be the quick little turns in it.
True. Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, the fast little turns that you take in the labyrinth.
Because it does kind of double back on itself. It is a spiral, so you're going around the same circle. You're not going somewhere different. It is a circular journey.
Yes. And it's just like life. You just don't really know what direction it's going to take you. You know, but you know that you're on the path to the heart of God.
And isn't that so perfectly true of life as well? Sometimes it is necessary to revisit an issue again and again and again. And sometimes you can get all of it the first time, but other times you're only ready to peel away a little tiny bit. And so when you're stronger, you can come back and look at it again and see the part that you weren't able to see the first time. So it's wonderful to return again and again to something that was pretty monumental in your life and just check, is there something more about this issue that I need to address, or have I transformed it completely into its highest form of love? And I find, actually, I drove to San Diego this morning to pick up my daughter from school, and I was speaking with myself in past lives, preparing for this show of forgiveness. I had to forgive actions that I had taken out of ignorance and that I had been blaming myself prior to. And I had brought all this blame and shame into this life where I could heal it. And it wasn't brought forward as a way to punish me. We don't bring things forward as punishment. It was brought forward because this is the lifetime that I chose to go the furthest in my ascension journey. And this would be the lifetime when I would have the tools in order to forgive myself without any whips or chains or any kind of punishment. I could, in this lifetime, I believe for the first time ever, get to the place where I could fully love myself by forgiving past actions that I participated in mostly out of ignorance, sometimes out of other things like greed and fear and, gosh, who knows what else, maybe selfishness. But generally, I find that the things that we are least proud of, we do out of ignorance and fear. And it takes an incredible journey of ascension to be able to rise far enough to be able to look back and say, oh gosh, there's nothing to really forgive. You didn't really know much. And so I forgive you for your ignorance. But at the same time, I'm grateful that you chose to participate in these different actions, because now I know what I don't want. Now I know that I don't want a life ruled by fear, or a life ruled by greed or ignorance in any way. So use your labyrinth to bring you into the heart center where you can do this deep work. Now, I promised I would explain why you would want to use the non-dominant hand. So let me mention that real quickly.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
It's the same as the thing that I teach in my class, How to Communicate with Angels. That non-dominant hand. In our brains, we have I don't know what you would call it, some tissue, this sort of electrical band. It's called the corpus callosum, and it crosses, it's the bridge between the two brain hemispheres. And in order for us to take the information that we receive from our guides, from our angels, from God themselves, and really use it, it's necessary for this information that will come into the right side of the brain, the more creative side. It has to hop over the corpus callosum and then get interpreted by the logical side of the brain, the math language center, before you can really use it. Now, when we are completely aligned with God, that corpus callosum is filled with electrical energy. It's very squishy and pliable. But we have been gradually moving further and further away from our God connection as we got more sophisticated with our technology. And there has been some calcification of the pineal gland and of that whole area, because really it just didn't get used. We got really reliant on our ability to think and logic things out, and we got less good at relying on our intuition. And so the corpus callosum became quite stiff and brittle with very minimal electrical activity, and it became very difficult for that information that was received from the energetic realm to make the jump across the corpus callosum and get into your logical brain center where you could actually make use of it. So when you are doing anything with your non-dominant hand, the information is flowing straight from your intuition to the hand. And it doesn't need to cross the corpus callosum. So if you feel stuck, if you can't get an answer, if you just feel like, gosh, I know the energetic realm is trying to get me a message and I can't get it, begin doing something with your non-dominant hand, because that will help you get used to receiving information directly from the energetic realm, directly from the right brain area that it comes in, without having to hop over the corpus callosum. And it doesn't matter whether you are right-handed or left-handed. If you are left-handed, it would be the opposite. Your right brain would actually be the right-handed person's left brain. So if you're left-handed, it's the left side of your head that is going to be receiving your intuition, although it's still the creative right brain center. So that's a little confusing, but the dominant hand determines whether you're right left in terms of physicality, or your poles are switched. So you would actually be left right. If you're left-handed, you would be left right, because the intuition is always on the same side as the hand that you write with. So if you're left-brained, your intuition is coming in through the left side of your body, but that's actually going to be the creative side of your brain, what we call the right brain. If you're right-handed, your intuition is going to be coming in the right side into that right brain area. The difficulty comes because the language center, the dominant hand is hardwired to the language center. So when the dominant hand is being asked to produce something, it needs the information to get into the language center before it can be used. When the non-dominant hand is being asked to do something, it takes the information directly from the intuition side, the right brain side, and delivers it to you. So if you're stuck and you feel like, gosh, I can't seem to get the answer, do something with your non-dominant hand. Pick up a pen and start writing anything that comes in your head. Pick up a Rubik's Cube and begin manipulating the pieces around. Get some activity going, some connection, a pipeline going between you and your intuition. Asking it to cross the corpus callosum when you have not used your intuition in a long time is really rolling a boulder, the biggest boulder you could find, up a hill. Now, once you've been in a daily meditation practice for a while and your intuition is really sparking, you won't need to call on the non-dominant hand to help you out. You still can, but it won't be as necessary because the corpus callosum will now be active and it will be happy to send information over to the language processing center. So this is a little jumpstart trick that you can do if you have gotten rusty about using your intuition. And remember, nobody makes it into the physical plane without intuition, without the intuition ability or muscle or whatever you want to call it. Everybody has a way to contact or connect with the energetic realm. Just not everybody has the same way. So some of you are clairaudient, some clairvoyant, some clairsentient, some are just
gifts.
Yes, everybody came with a gift. Don't let anyone tell you, I don't have a way to connect. Yes, you do. You may not know what it is. You may not have used it, but you have it. It's there. It's waiting for you. But if it has been allowed to be dormant, just like working out your physical body, when you first go to the gym, you're not going to be able to lift 500 pounds. Begin with the easiest way to connect possible, and that's using your non-dominant hand, and then get progressively more complicated, lifting heavier weights as you go forward. So when I first started, I didn't realize that I could increase my clairaudience with non-dominant handwriting. So I spent hours and hours and hours transcribing messages. Half of it was cuckoo nonsense.
Yes. Yes.
Because I wasn't good at interpreting what they were sending me. And they speak to us in energy. We have to find corresponding words that match that energy. So I spent hours and hours and hours transcribing stuff that I would read it back and say, this is silly. And
Marcia, you're brilliant.
Well, it was, I think, years before I really had that channel so clear that it's just constant now. I talk to them, I write to them, they write to me. It's constant, but it was putting in the time to wake up that brain center. So you will notice that when I take us into a meditation, I make sure that we bring the energy from the higher self point down through the crown and then immediately into the midbrain area so that we are juicing up that connection. We're giving it vital electrical stimulation to make it easier for us to hear or see or feel our divine connection. But please understand, no one, absolutely no one came here with a missing link. Everyone is connected. You will stay connected. I don't care if you choose to be the darkest, most evil person in the world. You still have a God connection. You're choosing not to acknowledge it, but it's still there. You would not be alive without it. The autonomic nervous system is connected directly to God. That's why we don't have to tell our heart to beat. So there's no one on this planet that is not God connected. You have a choice because you're on a free will planet to decide whether you want a robust relationship or you don't want a relationship at all. But nobody gets the choice about whether you come in with a connection because that's our life source. You couldn't be here without it. However, because God loves you so much, they've provided.
Go ahead.
Well, they've provided that choice, that free will. So I just want to encourage you to explore a deeper God connection. See how it feels. Take it out for a test ride. If you don't feel better, which I think is impossible, but that's my prejudice. If you don't feel better, lighter, more joyful, more expansive, more able to solve your daily life challenges, then simply cut it off. Close it up. Pinch it off. You've got the free will choice to be able to say, nope, I don't like this. I'm not going to put the time in to connect with God. It just doesn't feel right to me. You will keep that little connection that allows you to stay alive, but God will not interfere. However, give yourself at least 6 months and see what happens to your life. 6 months of consistent practice of saying yes to God, yes to your heart center, yes to the unconditional love, yes to freeing yourself from past pain and trauma, and then see, do I still want this?
And the heart center is the divine self-love.
The most incredible. I've been doing work in the heart now for a long time because I first had to heal my own heart and all of these past lives that popped up, and I had to get me to a place, not of perfection. Well, no, that's not true. We are perfect. We're perfect for every minute. So I started at a place of perfection, but I was trying to get myself to a place where I was more complete so I could share this with others. And
Yes.
there is absolutely nothing more beautiful than
Yes.
when you go into the heart and connect fully with God. I want to say it's indescribable, but I'm going to try to describe it because I want you to experience it. It is like the most beautiful symphony. It feels like the most incredible, loving connection. It is a space of pure joy. It is a space of expansiveness where you know anything is possible. And yet it's a space of complete freedom. There's no pressure. There's no, do it this way. It's just so pure. There's so pure. And when I allow myself to really relax into that place, and I try to do it every day, it is so incredibly beautiful. It brings tears to my eyes. It feels impossible to contain the amount of beauty that's there, the amount of love. It just overflows. So that's what we're talking about. When Jeff and I are talking about going into the heart center, those are the kinds of experiences that we have on a daily basis. But we've both done the work. So I want to offer, if you are lost, confused, hurt, or in pain, I want to offer to you a 30-minute consultation where it's by telephone, you sit with me, and we take a look at where you want to go, at what could be holding you back, at all of the pain and trauma that you've had to experience, and we begin creating for you a roadmap to freedom, a way out. Little by little, we begin identifying, gosh, if you could forgive yourself for this, if you could let go of that, if you could just examine that limiting belief and see if you still want to hold on to it, then you would ascend to that place of joy, love, and peace that you want to go to. And it doesn't just happen energetically. When you do her heart work, and I want you to experience heart work, so I so implore you to schedule your consultation and then find a way to do this work with me or with someone else if I don't resonate with you. But give yourself the gift of heart work, because it's not just your energetic state that improves. You cannot be in a high vibrational place of love, joy, and peace and be broke or sick or hurting or disappointed. Yes, you will still have challenges, but they will become so much easier for you. You will find so much more joy, and joy attracts more joy. Wealth of spirit attracts real money, cash in your pocket. Everything prospers when you let go of the pain. So yes, we'll be doing the work energetically, but you will be receiving both in the physical and in the spiritual. So go to my website, Marcia Martin, thehearthealer.com, Marcia spelled Marcia, and book an appointment. Now, I'm only going to take the first three callers, the first three people, sorry, not callers, the first three appointments, and I am going to ask you 3 qualifying questions. Because if this is not the time for you to do heart work, it won't help you. If you think it's an easy fix, or, gosh, Marcia will just do it for me, or I can just phone it in. No, this requires a commitment. It's not, woo, my life is better tomorrow. It's instant relief. You will feel a difference immediately. But it's a process that you must commit to if you're going to see long-lasting results, as Jeff has seen them, as I have seen them, as countless others have experienced them. So I invite you to join me. But be prepared to let go of those old beliefs that are not serving you. You can't hold 2 competing belief systems and prosper. And I want you to prosper. So it's Marcia Martin, thehearthealer.com, Marcia spelled Marcia. And Jeff, that was so brilliant. Such a beautiful way to share with us about a physical manifestation of going into the heart. And such a beautiful, self-loving thing that you can do. And I wanted to, we're out of time, but I got to just say this one last thing. If you don't have a backyard and you are unable to create one on paper, or you want the physical experience, notice that Jeff said there's one at his hospital. Check out your hospital. They have become extremely popular, and it's very likely that your local hospital has one there as well as Jeff's. So here's the thing that I want you to do. Go in there and let go of all of your burdens. Get filled up, and when you come out, you may want to share some love and joy with someone in the hospital. You're not required to do that, but it could be a wonderful, loving thing for both you and them. So, Jeff, thank you so much. Always, you are such a love. Just thank you.
I'm just giving God the glory.
Yes, but we have to remember, God is definitely the one in charge, but if you chose not to bring that through you today, I was not going to share it. So, we thank God, and we thank Jeff.
Thank God. Thank God and thank Jeff. And Marcia, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, one last thing, guys. I have to take my daughter back to school next weekend on the 23rd. So we're going to do this call on the 22nd just because it can be really crazy traffic. I managed to get down there in record time. Nobody on my way down. On the way back, going down, they were bumper to bumper. And on my way back, I had a pretty clear ride, so I got back an hour early, but it did slow down when I got here near Los Angeles, so near home. I just would be too anxious. We've got to get her moved in. She's doing an incredible internship. I'm so proud of her. But I just want it to be her day without stress or pressure or worry. And I want to serve you as well as I possibly can. So we will be next Saturday, the 22nd at 4. But again, if you're on my mailing list, and you get on that by going to my website, if you're on my mailing list, you'll get a reminder. So this time, not until next Sunday, but until next Saturday, I'm sending you all my love. Thank you all for being here and for just lighting up my life. I am grateful to each and every one of you.
You've been listening to another fabulous program on Angel Heart Radio. Our goal is to remind you of how much you matter in the world and to let you know that we appreciate who you are in the world. You can check out who's on, when we're on, and who our guests are at angelheartradio.com. Everything is there. It's all just one click away. Angel Heart Radio programs are powerful tools to help you in your life and your life experience. They are not intended, nor should they, be used to replace your medical or legal advice. The views expressed by hosts, co-hosts, callers, guests and associates should not be construed as advice from Angel Heart Radio.